Hey, you guys, welcome to another episode of the Design Your Success podcast. It's the podcast where human design and business meet. And today I'm talking to another great guest who has come to me through the Costa Women Network. And I know you have been hearing me talking a lot about Costa Women because it's a great group of women. So I'm very happy to have you here today, Gabby. Welcome.
Thank you, Nicoline. I'm really, really excited to be here today.
Great, great. So tell our listeners a bit about you. Who are you? What do you do? And how did human design become a part of your coaching?
Right. Well, I am a connection and purpose coach. That was kind of the title I came up with in the long run because I was looking around exactly what is my niche? What is it that I'm really about? And one of the things that was just such a passion of mine because I spent so long looking for it myself was this whole idea of purpose, life purpose. And then the other part was that I realized that you could only find your life purpose if you connect, but not just connect in the sense of connecting outwards, but connecting inwards to yourself and really finding out what you're about. And it's a very bodily thing. That's what I found out. There's so much in
Mm.
our heads trying to find our purpose.
Yeah.
And it's you can't find it like that. And I never realized how much wisdom there was actually inside the body. And
Mm.
then my actual thing, the connection outwards, which was always a thing. I was always looking for, the group of people I could belong to, the group of people that I felt at home with, and never quite finding it, especially in the second half of my life. I had a great time when I was younger and at university and all that kind of thing. But as soon as I went into working life and moved abroad, I couldn't find my tribe. And I tried to fit in a corporate world, working in tourism, working many hours. And then when that finished my corporate life, I was suddenly, left to my own devices, like, what now? And
Mm.
where do I? And then for me to start reconnecting, like really truly connecting, finding new people, that was thanks to Costa Women. So I'm totally in agreement with you. I spent a good 5 years trying to do things by myself, feeling very good in certain courses that I was doing online, but it was online.
Mm.
And then I thought, really, I need something local. And it was one of the people I'd met on one of my online courses that said to me, Gabby, why don't you join a local networking group? I said, well, actually, I know there is one, but I'm not a businesswoman. I'm not a proper businesswoman. I had this image of what that meant. And so what on earth would I do there? I'm like this imposter. And then I finally went and I saw what it was like. I was like, oh gosh, this is my tribe. This is my tribe. And it was like perfect. So yeah. So that's kind of a bit of my story. So it's relatively recent. I only joined Costa Women about a year ago.
Oh,
So
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Same for me. Same for
yeah,
me.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's definitely it's my tribe. I really love everyone in the group, and it's so amazing. There's such a diversity, and I love the welcoming and supporting energy that is there. Like you just come in and you're like, "Oh, great, you're here. Welcome. Let's
Hmm.
hear about you." And so yeah, that's what I love. So tell us a bit about how human design came into your life and how you started incorporating it into your business.
Yes. So yeah, that was the second part of the question that I didn't answer. So I will answer it now. That was basically what happened was I was first exposed to, well, introduced to human design via a friend that I'd made locally, and she had her reading done and she was so excited by it. And I was at that time working on a project with her. We were trying to get something off the ground that didn't end up working out. But I was very frustrated by her because I'm a manifesting generator. I like to get things done, and she turned out to be a manifester, and she found this a really
Okay.
huge relief because she needed lots of moments of rest. And I was very much working with her ideas. She had all of these amazing ideas that I could really respond to and
Yeah.
generate with. And I found her inspirational. And I was so excited about these things. And then I couldn't move on because she wouldn't give more direction. And she also wouldn't go and let me do my own thing. And so, or at least that's what I felt, right? And so then the thing did fall apart in the end, but it was something that I was like, oh, okay, I don't need to know about that human design. It's just an excuse for people not to do things.
Well,
Which,
it very often is. People are like,
yeah.
no, I cannot do it because I am a whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean it was a very genuine thing with, with time. It's I see it very differently now. And I've got a son that's a manifester, so I'm seeing it in the blood,
Yeah.
in the flesh, sorry. I'm seeing him having struggles at school with all of the pressure and all the rest of it. He
Yeah.
needs his rest time. But yeah, in fact, so what I ended up doing, like when I just sort of left it, put it on the back burner, I'd looked at a couple of things, found it really prescriptive. And I thought, oh,
Mm.
this is not my thing. And I related to some of it. I'm an emotional, what do you call it again? Is it the strategy, the authority,
Yeah.
emotional authority. So
Yeah.
I could see that. I could see the emotional wave thing. And that was the one thing I really resonated with. And I thought, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, but apart from that, I didn't have any good teachers. I didn't do any courses, nothing. So
Mm.
I just literally parked it and left it. And then I can't remember how, but I got into Gene Keys. And
Mm.
Gene Keys is a much more sort of, I don't know, it's more of a philosophical, spiritual way of looking at human
Yes.
design. It came out of human design.
Yeah.
And I really, for some reason, just really connected with some of it. And I started really going into the Gene Keys. And then you came along. And you just did this amazingly, I don't know, inspirational talk and just explained some things that were just so basic but so enlightening and so practical. And I thought,
Mm.
I need to look at this again. And a friend of mine had said that if you like Gene Keys, you've got to go back to human design. And I was like, yeah, I'm not sure. And then when you did that talk, I was like, right, that's it. I'm going to start looking at it again. And then I saw you a second time, and you said that I couldn't understand why I was a 3-5. So I looked at that and I was like, no, why am I a 3-5? I'm not a 3-5. I live like a 2-4 and I don't get it. It must be wrong. But then because you said, well, have a look, and maybe you've got other fours in your profile, and I didn't. I don't have any fours, and I was like, okay, right, what is it then? What is it then? And then I started really delving into it, and I saw, oh, there's such richness here. This is a part of me that I'm denying. This is where I've been conditioned
Mm.
out of. This is where I'm going to find my
Yes.
treasure because this is what I'm about. I'm all about finding this stuff that we've repressed and the stuff that we've avoided and seeing where all that, the gifts are that are hiding underneath that. So that was like, I've got to go there. So that was one of the things that really sort of changed things for me. And
Yeah.
then when I started learning about all these gates, because I'm a manifesting generator. So one of the things that we do, we go ahead, way ahead of where we're supposed to. I don't do things step by step. That's one of the
No.
things you taught me. Straight there, skipping steps, might have to go back later. And that's exactly what I ended up doing because I was into Gene Key. So I looked at all the gates and I looked at all the channels and I looked at all of the. I
Yeah.
forget the rest. And so then I started seeing when I thought I got fascinated by the incarnation cross because of
Yeah.
course I'm all about helping people find their purpose.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
Yeah.
And then I tried it out on one of my clients just as a thing. I'd done lots of sessions, and then about the fifth, sixth session, I said, oh, let me have a look at your human design. And then when I looked at it, it was absolutely mind-boggling how it just reflected exactly all their themes. And I went,
Mm.
oh, I've found something here. This is my thing. And I just thought, well, and ever since then, really what I do, I still do the coaching in the same way. I still go and discover them first before I get the human design out because I don't want to be influenced.
No.
But then I get the human design out after a few sessions and then
Yeah.
we start working with it. So it's just an absolute gift.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And it's so intriguing because you use the word oppression. And when I look at your human design, your life's work, gate 47, the shadow of 47 is oppression.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah, it is my incarnation cross is so spot on. I mean, and then there's so many layers to it when you get to it. It's like that's where the Gene Keys really helps because it really looks
yes,
at all those layers. It goes very deep, doesn't it? But I,
absolutely.
but I think I just think it is fascinating, isn't it? It's just how all these life themes have been literally playing out that
Yeah.
we're not aware of, and they actually have a purpose. And there's a reason why we've had to go through those things and are still constantly going through them, right? So our
Yeah.
challenges is where we have all of our lessons, and that's
Yeah.
where we discover what we're really capable of. So it's like it's
Yes.
fabulous.
It's so true. And the thing with profile line three, especially what you said about that you were basically denying and oppressing, the profile, I have the profile line three. I'm a 1-3, you're a 3-5. But what happens a lot with the three, and especially when you look at the profile line three as in general, there is shame around profile line three because we go through life testing, trying, experimenting, and in especially in today's society where people, I would say, expect you to do things right. We are like, this is not the way we go through life. We go through life testing, trying, experimenting. And instead of feeling ashamed around, oh my God, I tried so many things and nothing really worked, it's like, great, check, it doesn't work, move on.
Absolutely. And I think you're right. The word there is shame. There is a shame and a guilt about the fact that we have, still not got it to work, still made another mistake. So and my big thing was like, I can kind of live with it inside of myself. I didn't realize how much trial and error I was constantly doing because my thing is all about seeing how I can change things in me and accept things about me in order to change my relationships and my challenges and just like and I'm quite happy to do that when I keep it to myself, but being outwardly somebody that fails or whatever, that's just too
Mm,
scary. But the thing is,
yeah.
I realized that really at the end of the day, I was doing that. I was showing that I was failing because I was keeping it quiet and not explaining like all these other things that I was testing out.
Yeah.
It's that people just see me, oh, after 5 years, you're still not really doing anything, Gabby. It's like, well, I am actually. I'm
I
doing loads of
am.
stuff. Yeah, I'm just not
Yeah.
out there openly showing
Yeah,
you.
but that's the thing. And it's so intriguing when we look at those dynamics that we test and try and experiment, and but because we want to learn and we want to grow and we want to develop, but we don't want to be seen trying. And
Exactly.
and this is where, I mean, this is where I struggled with the three, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to talk about this because now I know this is what I'm supposed to do. Share my stories, my lessons, my failures between air quotes, because they're never failures. They're all lessons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So as a 3-5 emotional manifesting generator, you essentially are the embodiment of your work. So how does your own design show up in the way you guide others towards their purpose?
Yeah, I would say that my biggest thing that I show everybody is that everything that we've done, however wrong it looks, or however difficult it's been, or however much we feel we've suffered, there's something amazing that's come out of that. That's
Mm.
my big message.
Oh, wow.
And so I like to find, I don't know, one of the things I use a lot is to say you find the gift in the wound, or you find, the genius in the challenge, whatever it was, right? So
Yeah.
that's what I'm about. And we
Yeah.
said everything about all of us. It doesn't matter who you are, you will find that part of the way why you are how you are, part of it you're born with, and part of it is because you've had to repress something about yourself and or
Yeah.
change something about yourself that a sense of lack of safety that always happens in the early years. However good your family was, there was always something. In my case, a lot of it was also school related in the early years, and so something you had to change or wasn't right about you in some way, you changed and you found something, a way to adapt to that. And so that adaptation ends up being one of your gifts. And you don't realize for you that's
Mm.
normal. It's just a way of avoiding pain. And I
Hmm.
like to go right back there and
Oh, I love that.
seeing, and I don't do it in a way that's, oh my gosh, a lot of people don't like the whole deep stuff, but I like to make the deep stuff kind of playful
Mm.
and then seeing the joy in it because it's not all about letting out these emotions and all the rest of it and then sitting with them. No, it's like seeing how amazing this is, what came out of that, and look who you are now. And I think this is what I get people to see, and I just love doing that. And
Yeah.
so that's the main way in which I do that. I think the trial and
Oh, I
error in our
love that.
lives. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And this is so, I mean, you are living that gate 47, right? The gate
Yeah.
of realization. You are actually doing that with people and you help them to to transform whatever happened, not to them, but for them, and make
Exactly.
them see that it happened for them and not to them.
Exactly.
Yeah, and this is so great. And another thing that I realized, pun intended, with gate of realization, when we met at the retreat a little over a month ago, you spoke about masculine and feminine energy, and it was so interesting because what you showed, and this is also Gate 47 in action, is showing the pattern of how it works, masculine versus feminine. And what I realized when I was attending, when you spoke about that, is was wait a minute, I bring people into my business because of my masculine elements, and people stay because of the feminine elements in my business. And I spoke to other people about that, and I really wanted to tell you that I spoke to people about that realization, and they were all like, "Wow, this is so true! Oh, wow, wow, this is so good!" I was like, "Yeah, thank Gabby."
Oh wow, I love that. Yeah, that was so interesting because that talk I did not create that title. It was Ali who created that title. I had sent
Mm,
her a description to try and persuade her to still fit me in at the
yeah,
conference, which
yeah,
didn't happen. And so she created that title and it was from my description, but she'd seen something else in it and I thought, "Oh, I'll adapt it." And I thought, okay, this is a good challenge. And
yeah.
so I just did, and I just did, and it just ended up being such an interesting conversation, didn't it? And it was just, and for me to dive into it again, because it was something I'd done years before, this whole feminine energy thing. And I thought, okay, let me have a look at it. And it just revealed so much to me as well. I just like started looking at it again and said, wow, there's so much depth to this. It's not just about embracing the feminine. It's so much more. It's the interplay between the two, just exactly what you've said.
That's
It isn't
it.
like all being flouncy and all the rest of it. That's what people think about as, feminine energy. This it's just that interplay between the feminine and the masculine. I just think and everybody is a different version of that.
Yes, yes.
And where we try to go and somehow judge part of it, because there's me, like for instance, there's parts of the masculine that we just don't like the sound of, like it might feel aggressive or it might feel, I'm put off by the pushiness of it, I'm like,
Hmm.
oh no, I just prefer to just be, but I
Yeah,
didn't used to be like that. It's like I've run away from it because I had so much of that during my corporate times, and
yeah.
it's become like a bit of a trauma, it's like, oh God, I can't go back to that. And but I've gone too far the other way, and I need to go back
Mm.
again to the
Then
middle.
it's,
Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
good. That's
yeah.
good. So let's talk about something that really changed for you, because you said that before you didn't like to do the one-on-one work, but that
Correct.
changed.
Yes. And
Let's
and
talk
it
about that. What happened?
so yes, what happened really was what I just, said earlier. It was just that, and when I found this whole thing with the incarnation cross, and I found, how relevant these gates were, to our purpose. And it suddenly made so much sense. Then you can't do that as a group. You can only
Mm.
do that really
Yeah,
deeply diving into an individual. And it
yeah,
suddenly made the whole thing fun because I like, we talked before we started recording about fitting things, pieces of a puzzle.
yeah,
And that's effectively what I do in my coaching because I'm trying to find all the pieces so people can find what their life purpose is. It's like,
yeah,
okay, you're really good at this, you love this, you don't like that, but why not? And we're just finding all these things. And then this picture starts emerging. And then to then use human design and just give that confirmation and giving it I suppose, a structure
hmm,
for it all to fit in. It's like finding the corners or the edges of your painting, isn't it? Of your jigsaw.
yeah,
And it's like, oh my gosh, right, that's where it fits in. And then the whole thing just comes to life. And I think when people see it's something really personal to them and it's something unique to them and it's relevant in their own unique way because of all their life themes,
yeah.
yeah, for me that's now fascinating. So I just love to diving into everybody's personal profile now. So yeah.
Mm. So could it be that before you realized like this is what you actually do in the one-on-one work, it was more like so what it is that you wanted to do in the one-on-one wasn't really clear until you found the whole thing with the incarnation cross and the gates.
I think it suddenly made me realize very clear because I always knew that purpose is not something that you just find and then that's it. No, purpose is
Hmm.
always developing. But
Yeah.
when you have like almost a confirmation that what you were doing with that person was totally the right thing and they're all already on the right track and there's absolutely nothing wrong with what they're doing so far, because this is what we
Mm.
do. I'm very much
Yeah.
I've always been a fixer, and this is one of the things I didn't like about coaching. I didn't want to fix, and I could see how that was so much part of my personality. And as I don't want to fix, I don't want to fix, and how can I get away from this fixing mentality?
Hmm.
There's because I was doing it with myself, obviously, as well.
Yeah.
There's something wrong,
Yeah.
and then to suddenly have this human design show me, no, there's nothing wrong. This is how it's supposed to be. And that was also kind of a really confirming message. And I think, yeah, just the human design gave me that permission to say,
Yeah.
this is where it fits. So you're on the right path. And as long as you follow this strategy and this authority and start realizing this is right, we might not
Yeah.
find the answer today, but you will know you're on the right path,
Yeah.
and
That's
totally
it.
know that you can follow those signs that you've got inside of you.
Yeah.
And it's just the amount of relief you give people. I mean, you must see it all the time. I
Yes,
think the I
absolutely.
think the key word is relief with human
Yes, it
design,
is.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
two
It's like,
actually, permission and
ah,
relief.
permission. Love that word. Oh my gosh, I love permission as well. And so yeah, those two things, you're right, you're right. Permission and
Yeah.
relief. And it's just, I can just be me. And it's just wow. And then what's possible then? And it's
Yes,
it's
true,
just
true.
it never ends. It's just like a joyful life journey after that, isn't it? And you
It
still,
is.
and then I bring in, you're still going to find these challenges, but you'll always find something in it that is
Yeah.
just really positive. And I think
Yeah.
that's what I'm about really. So it's just
Oh, I love
perfect.
that. I love that. Now let's talk about the word purpose, because I think purpose is a concept that it has many definitions and many, I think it's misunderstood with many people. How would you define purpose, and how does human design change the conversation around it?
Ah, right. No, this is a really good question. I don't know whether I have a real definition of purpose, but purpose, I would say, there's various components to it. And one of them is surprising. It's not what you do, but how you do it by being
Mm,
you. And this is one
yeah.
of the things that really confused me. And so then the other classic things about a purpose is not just for yourself. It's always giving back. It's sharing with others. It's giving back to the community and to others what you are wanting to express. So
Yeah.
it's that whole sense of authentic expression,
Hmm.
sharing your gifts, sharing your talents, and then this way of how you do it as you. That's kind of the
Yeah.
three, yeah, the different
Oh, I
elements
love
of it.
that. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, because I think you're right. Many people are looking for the what, like what do I need to do, instead of how am I supposed to do it?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
because
this is
it's so interesting, because for me that has been a thing as well. I have gate 37 as my life's work, the gate of friendship.
yeah.
And that's all about harmony, it's all about community, it's all about bringing people together, etc. So for a very long time I was like, I need to start my own network, my own networking group. And I of course I tried. I am profile line 3.
Yeah.
I tried, I tested, and I was like, "Oh, it's exhausting for me." But now I know I can contribute to networking groups and to be part of something and to add value. So it's not so much the what as the how. That's gate 37. It's about friendship, building connections. Connection is my middle name. I always connect people. I love doing that. So the how, so it's, thank you for putting words to that, because that's exactly the shift that I made. And this is so helpful. So
No,
yeah.
it fits in completely with human design, though, doesn't it? I mean, it
Yes.
really is the message of that as well. It's just you doing it your way and being
Yeah.
true to yourself.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that I just found fascinating, because the more I got into purpose, the more I realized it wasn't up here and it was all down here. And then I became really interested in everything to do with emotions. And I became really interested. then what sits underneath the emotions is the nervous system. And human
Mm,
design is all about the nervous system because people think it's all this airy fairy stuff to do with planets and whatever. It's so it goes, yes, that's partly true, but it always goes back to the body because really at the end of the day, human design is different parts of the body, isn't it? It's the different
that's it.
chakras, areas. And and it's like, no, it's telling us to go back to feel ourselves. That's
Yeah.
literally what it's about. And it's like, wow, you don't have to worry too much about the rules and regulations about human design and the structure and
Hmm.
it can be interpreted in that way, but it can also, I think a lot of people are coming back from that kind of more rigid way of this is what you can't do and this is what you
Yeah.
can do.
Yeah.
I think even the original inventor of it wanted to change that bit of flavor to it before he died, but didn't get there. And
Yeah.
I think now we're bringing more maybe feminine energy to this whole human design thing, and
Yeah.
it's just endless the possibilities that it gives you, isn't it? And it's
Yeah.
just and coming back to you, how you feel and what feels right and what feels wrong, and honoring that and understanding your nervous system. I mean, that's where there's so much richness that basically everything that we do and where we get into ourselves in our own into in our own way is because we've had these habits created to try and keep safe.
Yes.
And then
Absolutely.
when we start looking at them not as something to judge, but something to admire and
Yeah.
something to feel compassion for, and this is kind of my big message. And we see it's like, wow, what richness there is in that, and look at the gift that's sitting underneath it. It's like,
Yeah, it's
wow.
so true. It's so true. And what you said about the emotions and the nervous system that is, the underlying thing. What my experience with especially of course I coach people in the more business sense. But what I find is that people are struggling with the emotional side because we don't want to feel the pain. We really, I mean, we are all avoiding pain rather than pursuing pleasure. But when you look at the pain and sorry, the emotions, what's your experience when people are looking for their purpose? Do you think they need a kind of crisis to start finding their purpose, or because very often that happens. So what's your experience with that?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, there's people that just find their purpose very naturally because they've just always followed, they've got very clear talents and whatever they followed it. But to some extent, we're all conditioned in some way, right? And so we can maybe, slightly adjust the route and see exactly what it is. But the people that are like me and get really confused about their direction because suddenly their job is finished or whatever it might be, or they suddenly don't feel happy anymore in what they've
Yeah.
been doing all their lives. I think there is usually some kind of crisis. And I think if you think about life in general, it's always this kind of story arc, isn't it? It's like you're doing fine, and all of a sudden something happens. You go through this, real questioning of your identity and your self-worth and whatever. And so, where am I? It could be motherhood, it could be, getting married, it could be, change of work, it could be
Yeah.
change of country. I don't know. It could be anything. And these moments where you suddenly question, who am I and what on earth, am I here? And it can feel really difficult, and I've had quite a few of them. And I think when you do all of that questioning and go through that crisis, that's where you always have something new come out. But it's sometimes a really long process. I mean, we have little short ones all the time, right? We come through something, okay, yeah, I'm okay again. But this long ones, like where you're really sort of almost dark night of the soul, kind of like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do with myself. Those can be really long processes. But I like literally with to go, with people to go and look at those because they're
Mm.
always that when people come to the point of like, now I'm going to look for the answers, they're already on the up, right? They're already
Yeah.
starting to rise out of it.
Yeah.
And because when you're down in the depths, it's pretty hard. It's like you kind of
Yeah.
pretend you're either like me and it's like everything's fine, just
Mm.
keep going, or you can go into a completely depressive state and you don't want
Yeah.
to be helped. It can be, there can be
Yeah.
both things. But yeah, generally speaking, now when you start looking for help, it's because you're already starting to come out.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
so true. And what I like about that is that basically what you're saying is that it starts with the decision, like this is what I don't want
Yeah.
anymore.
So true.
It's all about that decision. And then it's okay, now I'm going to explore and I'm going to allow myself to explore what is actually out there for me and what am I here to do? And I mean, those are big questions. Like, what is my purpose? What am I here to do? And but it's so good that you do it because many people are lost, and I think now more than ever, because there's so much fake stuff out there. I mean, especially on social media, we only see the happy pictures and like, oh, look at me being all successful and doing well with all my friends and this beautiful country and blah blah blah. So like you said, but it's outside happy, inside crappy. And this is where your work is so valuable for people to really find their purpose and give themselves permission, but it starts with the decision. And 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 this is the great thing in human design. We have this incredible decision making tool, and that's how you can help people to get to through the right decision. So you have emotional authority, I have emotional authority. So when we look at that, I mean, we need time to decide. How did you start trusting the wave and stop deciding like on the spot and too quickly?
That's a really good question because I've got quite an interesting thing in my design is that I have an undefined root center with five defined gates. And
Hmm.
my life partner has a defined root center and eight defined gates. He's
Wow.
extremely, and so a root center, for anybody that doesn't know, it's all about initiation and motivation and starting things, right?
Yeah.
And time pressure. It's all to do with time as well, isn't it? And if there's anything that I'm really, really sensitive to, is feeling pressure from others. And it
Mm.
brings up every type of thing. It can be FOMO, fear of missing out. It can be I'm not doing enough. I better do this quick. And everything that goes wrong in my life is because of time pressure. Now, I'm sure lots of people can relate to the whole time pressure
Yeah.
thing. We're all sort of, very much dominated by it. But I have always noticed this all my life. If somebody's waiting while I'm parking my car, I'll just not park it. If
Oh,
it's
really?
really, yeah, no, seriously, I get
Oh my
really
God.
affected, and I've already been sort of working with that for the years, and I really started observing this, like how bad it was, and I hate people having to wait for me, can't bear it, and so yeah, I very often get pushed into doing things that I don't want to. So when this whole emotional authority there, you just okay, let it pass, and see if you still actually like it in 1 or 2 days, or sometimes it's a smaller thing, it might be a couple of hours. But
Yeah.
it's the amount of courses I've signed up to, the amount of thing, it's like, what on earth did I do that for? And it's okay, I've never signed up to really expensive courses wrongly, fortunately, because I wasn't in that situation financially. But I would have done, if I'd had the money, I could have
Yeah.
thrown a lot of money at stuff. And it's
I
just
did.
that constant pressure of doing things and I'm missing out on, oh yeah, yeah, no, I should do it now. I should have done that yesterday. I'm behind.
Yeah.
And now letting that the emotional authority, I mean, the last course that I signed up for I had every reason not to do it. Like really every reason. I did not need another coaching course. I was
Okay.
looking for something very different, but I was captured by this woman, how she explained she had this free challenge. It was fantastic. And something became very alive in me when I was doing it. And I thought, I'm just going to do that. It sat with me several days. Every time I hear her, every time I listen to it, I want to do it. I've got to do it. So I did. And only afterwards did I realize that it was because of the community that I met through it. And
Ah,
these are people that are very much in my life now, and they're going to be coming to Malaga to visit me. Like we've got
oh
a
wow,
little
that's
retreat going
amazing.
on next week, and some of them are coming, and it's just like, wow, these are change makers, thought leaders. These are the kind of people that I want to spend time with. And it's like that's what I was supposed to do it for. It was so
Oh.
the right decision, even though everything about it was like, no, I don't need this. I shouldn't be spending
So
the
your
money.
sacral knew.
Yes.
Your
My
sacral
sacral
knew.
knew, and my emotional wave was like, no, 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 don't need to spend the money. And then it was like, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, just let it pass, right?
That's
So
it.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was fabulous. So no, I do really try to listen to that, especially when they're bigger decisions. right?
Mm.
And I've tried to be really aware of feeling that pressure,
Yeah.
you know, the guilt that comes up with things and the, and all of that, or the shame or whatever, that those feelings particularly come through very quickly. And also I'm very quick to anger. And,
Mm.
I'm totally not so much anymore, but I used to be really quick to anger.
Yeah.
And I now feel it pass through me because I've done a lot of work with emotions. So I know
Yeah.
now exactly that emotions are an emotion, are literally a wave of energy
Yeah.
passing through you, and just
Yeah.
let it pass. Don't be scared of it. So
Yeah, it's so interesting. One of my favorite Dutch podcast makers, he has a very, I would say, provocative approach to emotions. And then he always tells people like, try to be angry for as long as you can, like the whole day. And people will be like, but that's not possible. And he said, exactly. That's exactly it.
I love that. That's brilliant. Yeah.
You can only be angry for like 90 seconds.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
it's a wave. It just
Yeah.
comes and goes. And but he's so good at the provocative thing. It's his style. And I love that. So that's
Yeah.
so good.
Oh no, that's exactly doing the opposite. It's like a paradox thing, isn't it? It really is
Yeah.
true that when you're trying to run away from something, well, no, do it even more. And
Yeah.
then it dissipates. It literally
Yeah.
does
Yeah.
work. Yeah.
That's
It's
it.
brilliant.
That's it. Yeah. So looking at the people that you work with, what would you say is the most persistent piece of conditioning that you see and what does it look like when it finally starts to lift?
I think the main thing is the overthinking, the thinking
Mm.
loops. And my clients tend to be people that are quite introspective. They're very good at seeing what's wrong about themselves and trying to better themselves and all that kind of
Mhm.
thing. And I think they try, just like I did for so many years, to try and work it out up here.
Yeah.
And they're able to see all their faults and they're seeing how they should be and all the rest of it. So that's the main conditioning. And they're always trying to somehow understand other people's needs, right?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
respond to those before their own. So that kind of
Yeah.
tends to be, the pattern. And how do they come out? Just literally, um, I think understanding their own needs.
Mm.
That's the number one. Don't forget, our nervous system is all about our basic needs, and our most basic of all needs is safety. And so when we start realizing that a lot of our actions are all about safety, and that lots of those things, those patterns and the way that we adapt to, life and in order to create safety started way back, probably almost at birth.
Yeah.
That's when the conditioning starts in the first 7 years of your life. Most of the conditioning happens. And so basically, this is where we start realizing, no, I do have own needs. And the way that I try to create my own safety is through this and no longer judging it. And then
Mm.
coming back to that and then starting, to, like you said earlier, that word permission, giving yourself permission to feel that you're allowed to have those needs
Yeah.
and to express them and not judge yourself for what you've done. It's part of your way of being in the world, and it also makes you an amazing being.
Yeah.
So that's kind of when they get to that and then start seeing how wonderful it is, and that we've got all these parts that you can label things as good and bad, just like we do
Mhm.
pain and pleasure.
Yeah.
It's a basic survival thing at the end of the day. But it's
Yeah.
but then you see, like, I'm a biological being. It's normal for me to look
Yeah.
for safety. And
Yeah.
please don't judge that. So much of society is rules and judgments, and this is the way to be.
Yeah.
And when you start stepping out of that and actually owning, like, yes, I did that, but that was for a really good reason. That was underlying it. I might not have had
Mm.
the best strategy, but
Yeah.
look who I am now thanks to that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I get people. So mine is
Yeah.
all about celebration at the end of the day. It's like,
Oh,
wow,
that's
you're
so good.
amazing.
That's so good. I think I learned from what's his name? Oh my God, Brian Ridgway.
Oh,
Brian
yes.
Ridgway. You know him?
Yes, yes.
And he talks about the five fears that we have, and it's not safe to be, like to exist. The outside world is dangerous. It's not safe to be me. It's not safe to be me wanting. It's not safe to be me wanting and asking. And it's not safe to be me wanting, asking, and getting.
I
And
love
those
that.
five fears are just Mind blowing. I love that.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely going back to him now. You've reminded me because that was a long time ago I came across him, and
Mm.
it was in my moment of just absorbing all this information.
Yeah.
I need to go back there. That's a very good
Yes.
one.
He was, I love his work and I
Yeah.
really love what he says about these because he makes it so simple. Like these are the five things. And when, especially when you talk about conditioning and fears and the underlying stuff, what's under the fear, it is that.
Mm.
It's not safe to be, it's not safe to be me, etc. So I love that. So I could talk to you for hours. Really,
Good.
I could, and
That's
we're not going
wonderful.
to do that because we want our
Neither.
listeners to come back to the next one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So wrapping this up, what would you say if a person is out there like, what is my purpose? How can I find it? What would be your advice for that person? The first thing to do, looking for that purpose.
I would tell them to look back and see where the same themes come up and don't just you look at both two things. Look at your high points in life and see what themes came up in all of them. So it could have been, I don't know, we were celebrating something, or it was connection with my friends, or it was a moment of, I don't know, that I was just by myself in nature and I felt free, whatever it might be, right? So
Mm-hmm.
these big moments in your life where you felt certain things and see what the themes are that run through them. And then the same happens with the difficult moments in your life.
Mm.
What was so difficult about it? And so those I always like to start with a timeline. We look at all the high points and the low points and get
Yeah.
all the themes out of that. So that's one of the first things I would say to look at. And then, yeah, I would also invite everybody to see what did you come out of after you passed through that period of your life of difficulty. What was different? How were you stronger at the end of it?
Mm.
What skill did you learn?
Yeah.
What lesson did you learn? So those are the key things I would look at. So that's
Yeah.
where, that's where so much richness is.
Wonderful.
Mm.
Wonderful advice. I love it. I love it. So if people want to connect with you, where can they find you? Where are, of course, we're going to share all your details in the show notes, but how can people connect with you?
Well, this is a good question, Nicoline. The easiest way would either be Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn because I'm still busy with my website because I've got lots of sort of new things that I'm
Okay.
working on, and the website's been sitting there like, no, there's something more coming. And I should be trial and erroring, Nicoline, but the thought of having to constantly tweak a website is just too much for me.
No, I can imagine. I can imagine. And
So
you
yeah.
are a manifesting generator, so
Got
lots of things
5,000
going
other
on.
things to do. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I'm in the middle of doing the website, but until I feel like, yeah, no, this is really the main message I want to give. All of my clients come through either recommendations or, people just passing them on to me. So, and those are my main three.
Perfect. Perfect. We'll make sure to share everything in the show notes so people can connect with you because they should. And I loved talking to you. So thank you for being here today. And I really look forward to seeing you really soon.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nicoline. It's been an absolutely fabulous interview. Thank you.